Hey guys, welcome. My name is Carlos M. De Oro, and I'm your educated grease monkey. Welcome to EGM Live number 2. Today we will be discussing the different types of tool brands, which are better, which are worse, which to stay away from, which I recommend. I'm going to try to break this up into 2 parts. One part's going to be for the technicians, and the other one's going to be for the do-it-yourselfer, the guy who works on his car in the front of his house and doesn't really work on cars every day. I treat this question differently depending on who I talk to, so let's go with that. First things first, the technician, right? The guy you take your car to when your car breaks, right? Technicians put their tools through hell and back. That's how they make their money. The tools, without them, it'd probably be impossible to work on cars. So, with that being said, and most techs that are watching probably already know this, if we don't have tools, good ones at that fact, we can probably starve to death not making any money. So, for us technicians, we get access to different types of tool brands that the do-it-yourselfer doesn't. For example, Snap-on, Matco, and Mac. Most dealerships or independent shops or shops in general have a tool truck that comes to them, usually one of those brands, even Cornwell. And what they do is they'll come by and they'll have a sales rep in there and they'll try to sell tools to the mechanics, which is fantastic because the tech doesn't really have to go anywhere. The tools are there. However, it's a huge marketing thing and it's a huge scam for some of these tool companies can be a huge scam. I'm gonna pretty much names the names of the companies that I've dealt with. Let me know if you've heard of any other ones, but Snap-on, Matco, Mac Tools, and Cornwell. They'll all send a truck and they all have different types of tools. Now, let me go break that down a little bit. Cornwell, Matco, and Mac. I named 3 of the 4, right? Those 3, they're private labelers. So what does that mean? That means that they go and they buy their tools from either another company that manufactures them, or they get them manufactured overseas and brought into the country, and then they put their brands on it and sell the tools. Now, what's wrong with that? Nothing really, except the fact that they're overcharging for a tool that was manufactured with very cheap parts, and it's all a business profit and loss type of game. They don't really pride themselves in being the best of tools or whatever, even though in their marketing they push to see who's the best. But in all reality, there's only one best, and that company's name is Snap-on. Now, most techs will say, oh, but they're so expensive, they're overly priced. Yes, they are expensive, but you're paying for a hell of a product. For one, they're wrenches. Okay, I'm gonna just start with wrenches. They put some serious research and development into coming up with the best type of wrench you could possibly have, so that bolt comes off as effortlessly as possible. Snap-on is the only American-made tool company, and they do all the research and development on their products before they sell them. Like, that's a tool company that wants to be the best, right? So yeah, their prices are expensive, but they put way more thought into their product than Matco, Mac, or any of those other brands, right? Now, some techs come in with Craftsman or Husky from Home Depot and all these things. And these brands, they're fine. They have lifetime warranties just like these other brands that I've talked about. They're fantastic tools. But the truth of the matter is that those tools were not meant to be used by professionals. I myself, when I first started, I bought Craftsman everything because my father lived and breathed Craftsman. He was like, oh, Craftsman is the best, blah, blah, blah. And I bit onto it and I said, yeah, Craftsman is the best. And I bought everything Craftsman. But over the years, I ended up having to replace it because they just can't take the abuse. They really can't. So I ended up replacing most of my tools with Snap-on, depending on what I use. Now, it doesn't mean that every single tool I buy has to be from Snap-on. But if it's a tool that I use multiple times a week, then I will most definitely be buying at Snap-on because I want it to last me. If it's a tool that I use maybe once a month, if I'm lucky, then I might go and look for a cheaper route, because just I'm not going to use it that much. There's no sense of spending so much money on it, right? And especially since technicians are in this for money, no other reason, right? Well, you could like it, but you know what I'm talking about. Then yeah, you want to save your money wherever you can. So I do own some Harbor Freight and Northern Tool type tools, but those are usually very small pullers and things of that nature that barely ever use. The ones that are sitting at the very bottom of the box type of deal. I also, for air tools, I have a tendency of picking Ingersoll Rand over many other companies. And when it comes to electric tools, I like to use Dewalt. I used to like Makita way back in the day, but they have recently changed their battery style, and their tools got very bulky, and I ended up moving away from them. I also do not like buying the Snap-on electric tools, because their batteries are extremely expensive and they only have a 1-year shelf life with no warranty. So keep that in mind. Now, for your do-it-yourselfers, thank you for being patient. The do-it-yourselfers, listen up close, all right? You guys do not need to be buying no Snap-on tools, okay? But you also can't be buying your tools at the dollar store. The dollar store, yes, the dollar store sells tools. You know, you may have not known that, and now you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna go over there and buy a shitload of tools. No, don't do that. You can buy a set of pliers there, and the pliers will fall apart in your hands as soon as you try to do something with it. Now, one or two things is gonna happen to you when you use tools that are that cheap. When you use them, they're gonna break apart, and you're gonna end up hurting yourself. Because, of course, when you're using a tool, you're either applying some sort of pressure or something, or pulling or pushing or something, right? And if that breaks, hopefully that something doesn't end up into you, and you know, don't hurt yourself. So what tool brands do I recommend for the do-it-yourselfer? Well, I'd probably go Craftsman there. Lifetime warranty. There's Sears pretty much anywhere, right? Every city has one. If not a Home Depot, you can find yourself Husky. Husky's a pretty decent brand. They're not the best quality tools, but they'll get the job done. And let's be honest, you're not going to use these tools every day. You might use them once a month, and that's a pretty active person. So you don't need anything fancy, but just don't cheap out that bad. You're going to end up hurting yourself. And for you do-it-yourselfer, let me explain something to you. You don't know how much easier life gets when you have the correct tool. So if you're struggling on something and you've seen YouTube videos on it and you've done everything you can, and it's just like you're struggling, chances are you're probably using the incorrect tool, or you just don't have the right tool in hand. So the correct tool will make your life a whole lot easier. Okay. So let's do a quick summary, a quick recap. Technicians, go with Snap-on unless it's a tool you don't use that often. If it's a tool you don't use that often, then I recommend using Craftsman, and if not, Harbor Freight, whatever, right? If you're a do-it-yourselfers, use Craftsman, Husky. Those are good, solid brands for a do-it-yourselfer. Electric tools, you can go ahead and buy Dewalt. They're cheap, they last, they're strong. Ryobi from Home Depot is a piece of crap. It really is. I've owned like 2 or 3 of their drills, and they don't last. They have no power. They're the worst. But Dewalt, Milwaukee is a great electrical tool brand. Ingersoll Rand, I suggest for air tools. And that's about it. If you have any questions about tools specifically or anything automotive related, please email me, educatedgreasemonkey@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and do me a favor of not only liking it over here in this little corner over there, or share the video. I'm trying to build up my brand, and I'm trying to help as many people as possible. And I will be 110% appreciative if you would share the video, especially if you enjoyed it. If you didn't like it, then just leave. Okay? Till next time, guys. Deuce.